the human soul is made for intimacy with God. Jesus gives the metaphor, I am the vine, you are the branches. And that the branches draw their life, their nourishment, their sustenance. You literally like get their immune system from the vine. And we've literally been conditioned away from that vine branch union. We've been conditioned against it. One, just the pace of life, because enjoying God, being in the presence of Jesus, hearing his voice, you have to learn how to linger, right? And if you're just going boom, 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 boom through your day, and then the internet, we are all disciples of the internet. And by that, I don't mean the content, because people look up all kinds of different things. You say, no, I'm not a disciple. You go, yeah, but you're a disciple of the process. Every day, we all look stuff up, okay? Everybody. But here's the thing, you get an immediate answer. I mean, boom, talk about satisfaction, boom. Not only do you get one, you get like 3 million answers instantly. And this has conditioned the human soul over time to be impatient. But learning to linger in the beautiful, wonderful presence of Jesus, you gotta be able to do that, right? Yeah. Okay. So modern life, in all of its pressures, tensions, pace, but particularly internet life, internet discipleship, has conditioned the human soul against the vine and branch relationship, the very thing that's going to save your life.
Welcome back to the Leading Saints podcast, and you're in for a treat again. I bring in one of my favorite Christian authors, John Eldredge. This is actually my third interview with John Eldredge. We'll link to some of those past interviews. They're really worth a listen. John is such a pure soul, someone I respect and appreciate so much. Not necessarily in our faith tradition, but he has a lot to offer it and a lot of perspective. And so this may be kind of an interfaith discussion concept. He has a new book out called Experience Jesus Really. And man, there are so many parallels to our theology, especially in the concept of how we worship God and connect with him in spiritual realms, or also known as the temple. So I really just invite you to sit back, enjoy this conversation, take it for what it is, and check out John Eldredge's book. I always tell people, if you haven't read Wild at Heart, especially men out there, it's a must read for some point in your life, earlier than later. But a phenomenal transformational, life-changing book there. And then has so many other books, and this is his most recent, Experience Jesus Really. So I want to help John get the word out, make sure you're aware of it, and jump in. And again, there's so much that just jives so well with our religious tradition, and I think you'll appreciate it. So here is my interview with John Eldredge, the author of Experience Jesus Really. All right, John. Well, I remember the first time I got to interview you, and I was sort of pinching myself thinking, wow, this is a once in a lifetime moment here. But now this is the third time, and I just appreciate our conversation so much. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed them, Kurt. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. And, I want to orient people that maybe they don't like, who's this John Eldredge guy? And why should I be listening to this or hitting play on it? Maybe as people ask you, like, what's your background, or what brings you to this place that you have these type of conversations?
Yeah, sure. That's very fair. So I've been a therapist for about 35 years. A lot of experience helping people grow, helping people heal, and began writing. I'm an author and found a lot of joy in that. And apparently people enjoyed it as well, because I think I've published about 17 books now. And you and I have talked about a few of those.
Yeah.
I know Wild at Heart has meant a lot to you. And so therapist, author, and we have an organization called Wild at Heart. We do spiritual retreats for men and women not only here in the U.S. but around the world. And yeah, our work is helping people heal.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, like you said, the Wild at Heart book has impacted me with as well as thousands and tens of thousands of men and I guess women across the world as well. I'm curious because it's been about 25 years now since you published that. Is that right?
Good memory. Yeah.
Well, I knew it was around the turn of the century, right?
Yeah, I think we're at 24. I think we had the
Okay.
25th anniversary is next year. And the wild part of that story, Kurt, is that it's still going.
Yeah.
It's still going. It's still helping men become good men and
Yeah.
helping women understand the men in their lives, particularly raising boys. I've heard from so many moms who have just said, "Thank you for helping me understand these little boys in my care." Yeah, so and we continue to do Wild at Heart films and retreats. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, like, I remember back in the day when, Stephen Covey came out with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Then years later, he came out with the eighth habit. Like he had discovered one more habit, in Wild at Heart, you talk about the 3 core desires of man's heart, a battle to fight, an adventure to live, and a beauty to love. Do you feel like, I mean, over these years, is there a fourth, John? Have you discovered more that you
That's
bring
good.
to those things, or what do you think?
Well, we certainly learned a lot, and obviously culture has changed, Kurt. I
Yeah.
mean, wow, has culture changed? So I did add some content to the new book for men and families wrestling simply with gender identity, because
Mm,
that's become a source of a lot of heartache, particularly for young people. And when Wild at Heart came out 24 years ago, that wasn't really on the table. That this is a new emergent
yeah.
thing. So the culture has changed. There's almost nothing in Wild at Heart on men and technology,
Mm,
but technology has just devoured men. I mean, they're obsessed with it, spend tons of hours on it. So uh, I would say those two things are probably big. And we've also learned a lot more about healing the human soul and how that works. So these 2 ideas are in the book, but let me say them out loud. Every boy has 2 core needs, not just
mm,
one. They have 2 core needs. And the first is, do you love me? And do I have what it takes? So there's belovedness. Am I beloved? And do I have what it takes? Do I have a strength, a genuine courage, a genuine, you know, just self that can make a difference in the world? I'm not going to be overwhelmed by life. I'm actually going to conquer life. And those he looks primarily to dad for the answers to those 2 questions. Now he absolutely looks to mom too,
yeah.
and mother wounds can be some of the deepest wounds that we need to heal from. But those 2 needs, I don't know that I made those as clear 24 years ago as I do when I teach now, because you can just see men looking for love, looking for validation, pornography and money and, the extreme sports and all that stuff. They're looking for it. They're looking for that sense of I'm loved, I have what it takes. So I think as parents, if we can really breathe that into our sons and our daughters when they're young, man, we set them up to succeed.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up because I'm seeing this in the last few years, sort of this movement, especially in Christian circles. Of sometimes we feel like, oh, I think the problem with men is the church has gone too soft on them, and we just actually need to give them really hard things and really come at them with duty and responsibility and let's get to work, man, right? And of course, in the right setting, and some may need that. I think that connects to like the battle to fight, right? That we
Yep.
do need
Yep.
that resistance. We need to come together in a tribe and march towards a goal. But sometimes we dismiss this. What I think is like a foundational concept of like actually that little boy inside of each of us needs that validation from a God saying, no, you are loved, like
Yes.
you are precious to me, right? And I don't know, sometimes we skip over that too quickly because it feels like that's too soft, you know? And any thoughts that come to that?
Yeah, yeah. This is interesting because we can talk about it right brain, left brain also. So we have had an overdeveloped left brain approach to men in particular. It's reason, it's critical thinking, it's decision making skills, it's discipline, right? But you
Yeah.
literally have two hemispheres to your brain. And the right hemisphere is intuition, it's music. And the interesting thing is, the right brain is connection, it's relational. It doesn't think in terms of, kind of rational propositions, it thinks in terms of connection. And so, what we're just describing is men need to be whole.
Yeah.
Women as well need to be whole. Yes to the left brain, and we'll get into this, I'm sure, today. The left brain is
Yeah.
like internet life, research, show me the facts, give me the latest science, looking stuff up. But the right brain is play and joy and beauty and wonder. And I just think it's beautiful that God literally made us with two halves that are meant to be whole. We're meant to live from both. And teaching men, a lot of our work is teaching men, yeah, to be more in touch with their history, their woundedness, not to invite them to weakness, but instead to heal so that they can be stronger.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And I'm just curious, maybe put you on the spot a little bit, but right now I'm in charge of the men's group in my church, and in our faith tradition we have about an hour, more of a formal meeting. We call it sacrament meeting, where we participate in communion or sacrament, and then the next hour, at least every other week, is the women go to their side of the building, the men go to our side of the building, and we try and engage in a spiritual,
Mm-hmm.
thoughtful interaction there. And usually, we're in the scriptures or reading, commentary or things about scripture. And sometimes we don't know how to approach that. So I'm just curious, like, if you were to give a quick, like, uh, you know, training on, like, how can leaders walk into a room full of Christian men and engage with them on a weekly or every other week basis?
Yeah, yeah, because both are important, right? Study
Yeah.
is important, growing, learning, wisdom is important. Um, I think the simple practice of what we call a check in,
Hmm.
you could build that into your meeting and say, hey, before we get started in our study or our conversation, let's all do a check in. And first, you just have them check in themselves, right? How are you? Just tune in. Are you coming in anxious? Are you coming in mad? Like, how are you? What is the condition of your soul? You can build that in really comfortably. Hey guys, let's just do our check in. And then, depending on the size of the group, and you could even have a little bit of conversation around that. And you go, well, how you doing? How
Yeah.
are you coming in here? And you have a little bit of dialogue around that. Would be that again that activates the right side of the brain and it engages the heart and it helps you to be more fully human in our discipleship to Jesus. So simple practice like that, a check
Yeah.
in would be great.
Yeah, I love that. That's really helpful. And it takes my mind to this instance. What I did one week is I did a spectrogram. We were in the gymnasium part of the church, so we kind of had a place to spread out there. And I did a spectrogram saying, "Hey, all right, guys, on this side of the room, stand where on the scale where you feel most resonates. So on this wall, this far wall, that's like life is terrible, never been worse, in the pits. The other side has never been better, right?" And it was interesting to see the bell curve, form amongst that group. There were probably 35 to 40 guys in the room. And I identify and I resonate so much with this group is it's the I'm fine group. It's like, no, check in. Like, how are you? Well,
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm fine,
yeah,
and because I think there's a lot of, like, in my story, I don't have a story of, tragic abandonment or abuse in my background. And so you kind of get going in life and you're doing the things, you got the job, you're trying to show up for the kids, and
yeah,
I think I'm fine, right? Is there and I sort of want to be like, well, I mean, if you're fine, like, why do you need a healer? Why do you need a redeemer? Like, where's the entrance point into that wounding when they kind of feel like I'm fine? Like, what do you do with the I'm fine guy?
Yeah, yeah. I would have a big place on the floor that says I'm exhausted
Hmm.
on that spectrum, because most of the guys will go stand there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the entry point. You see, it's not just woundedness, although
Yeah.
every person gets wounded in this world. We continue. Your spouse may leave you.
Yeah.
Your child, my goodness, might be killed in an automobile accident. It's not just that it's childhood things, but if we just take most people's daily experience, the world is just a draining place.
Yeah.
And you take Psalm 23, you restore my soul. That the soul needs to be restored. Uh, and and so just to allow guys to go, I'm okay, but I'm exhausted. I'm spun up. I'm depleted. I'm running on fumes. That's the entry point.
Yeah, just those, and I often frame it as like just the tensions of life. Like, where do
Yep.
you feel that tension? Because we all have it, right?
Yep.
Where it's like, man, I can't stand that boss, or yeah,
Yep.
I'm fine, but we all know that you you hate going to work, or
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't know how to connect with your kid, or there's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
someplace
Yeah.
there.
Or you can't figure out how you're going to pay the bills.
Yeah,
Financial tensions. One of the number one stressors in a marriage, and teenage
yeah,
kids and all that they get exposed to in the world now. Like, yeah, just maybe giving guys a few more options of I'm tense, I'm exhausted, and I would say something in the category of um, the future looks daunting.
yeah. That resonates really well with men. Well, I appreciate you kind of entertaining that, just those concepts of men's work and faith, because sometimes we lose so many men when we don't intend to. It's just we don't know how to connect at times, or create an experience that really draws them in.
Yeah.
But when you do, it's amazing the transformation that can happen. And on that note, like, tell me about, like, obviously you've been doing these Wild at Heart boot camps for years now, this experience type of thing, because I've participated in some of these, at least the basic, Wild Heart basic type of experiences, and to bring others there, it's sort of like, why? I mean, I go to church, like, why do I need to come to this gathering of men type of thing? How do you best approach
Mm,
men, and with who are not sure why they need to have this, a 3-4 day experience,
mm.
that you offer?
Yeah, and again, as you were describing them, the entry points for men are so different.
Hmm.
And so you need to kind of listen for the entry points. And if he's just feeling like he's failing as a dad, that's the entry point. It's like, I'm missing my kids, man. I'm getting angry. I'm really busy right now at work. You go, okay, so like you need some encouragement and some guidance and some help as a dad. That's an entry point. And a lot of guys come to our work or Read Wild at Heart because of that entry point. I just want to be a better dad. I need some help. For other guys, it's the full blown addiction, man. I mean, come on. If you can get a guy to be honest with you, he's into porn, he's into fentanyl, he's got something going on the side. Let's just admit that, right? And that can be a phenomenal entry point. Come for your sexuality, come for your addiction, come for freedom, come to break out of that you're hiding from everyone, but it's tearing you up inside. You see how there's different entry points for guys? Yeah. And then for a number of men, they just get lost. Like, what's my calling? What's my purpose in life? What am I supposed to be doing? Uh, I mean, I'm earning a living, and maybe some guys are doing a great job with money, but like, yeah, and then what? Like, what's my purpose? That's a big entry point for men,
Yeah.
and to say, yep, we want to talk to that. We want to speak to purpose, meaning, identity, and all that stuff, as goes on at a Wild at Heart Basic or one
Yeah.
of our live events. Yeah.
Yeah, that for me, as president of the, I'm Fine Club, going to that experience and hearing the larger story, you know, uh, sort of orientation meeting,
Yes.
right? I've been like, oh, like, yeah, I'm fine, but look at the larger story that I'm in, and there's actually more that God's inviting me into that I'm kind of putting off because, hey, I'm fine. That'll come later.
Yep.
So it was really transformational that way.
Yeah.
Um, Very good. Well, let's pivot towards your latest book, Experience Jesus Really. And this is part of I guess you would just call it a trio, a trilogy
Almost
here,
almost
the
like a
last two books.
trilogy. Yeah.
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 Did you always anticipate it to be three books,
Nope.
or did it kind of lead in one into the other?
No, no. And I didn't really even realize it was a trilogy until the third one came along.
Hmm.
When the pandemic happened, literally the month of the pandemic, we rolled out a book called Get Your Life Back. And the timing obviously could not have been better because everybody felt like they lost their life.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years into that, so 2022, 2023, we rolled out a book called Resilient,
Hmm.
because we were really trying to address the thing I was saying. The world is just a draining place. I don't care who you are. I don't care how amazing your life is. The world is a very draining place. The chaos, the politics, the constant changes, the tensions. Um, and so came out with a book called Resilient, helping people, learn the ways to come back to being a truly resilient person and not just getting through your day. And then this last one is the deep end of the pool. And I'm really surprised, Kurt. I when I wrote this book, I'm like, well, this might only appeal to a few, a certain kind of person. And wow, we are getting just phenomenal responses to this all across the age groups and the gender, male and female, and yeah, it's resonating with people. Um, you may have been familiar with the Barna study they did on faith. They did a longitudinal study that all of us can point to someone we know. One in two people of faith have walked away in the last 20 years.
Wow.
They're just not interested anymore.
Yeah.
And we can all tell that story. It's like, oh yeah, my brother-in-law, or oh yeah, my 22-year-old daughter, or um, and when I talk to those people, when I listen to their stories, most of it is disappointment that they didn't really experience God. Like I went to church, I did the deal, I didn't really have much of an experience there. Um, and so this third book is, yeah, really written around the human soul is made for intimacy with God. Jesus gives the metaphor, I am the vine, you are the branches. And that the branches draw their life, their nourishment, their sustenance. You literally get their immune system from the vine. And internet life, and we can kind of talk about this, would be important today to talk about this. We've literally been conditioned away from that vine branch union.
Hmm.
We've been conditioned against it, which is really truly evil. That people are being hardened to it or calloused away from it. One, just the pace of life, because enjoying God, being in the presence of Jesus, hearing his voice, you have to learn how to linger, right? And if you're just going boom, 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 boom through your day, uh, and then the internet, you're familiar with what the content of the book is, but
Yeah.
in the early parts, I talk about we are all disciples of the internet. And by that,
Yeah.
I don't mean the content, because people look up all kinds of different things. You say, no, I'm not. I'm not a disciple. You go, yeah, but you're a disciple of the process.
Yeah.
Every day, we all look stuff up. Okay. Everybody. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, who was the 14th president of the United States? Or, oh, yeah, what is Putin doing today? Or, just whatever, right? We look this
Yeah.
stuff up. What's the proper temperature to bake a potato? I don't know. Let's look it up. But here's the thing. You get an immediate answer. I mean, boom, talk about satisfaction. Boom.
Yeah.
Not only do you get one, you get like 3 million answers. instantly. And this has conditioned the human soul over time to be impatient.
Yeah.
But learning to linger in the beautiful, wonderful presence of Jesus, you gotta be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So modern life, in all of its pressures, tensions, pace, but particularly internet life, internet discipleship, has conditioned the human soul against the vine and branch relationship, the very thing that's going to save your life,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's where this third book comes in.
Yeah. It's really powerful. And I mean, your work and just being more mindful of that dynamic is really helped me. I remember, some days where, like, here's the thing that get, like, for me, I don't have, like, people could follow me around all day. There's no, like, hidden stigmatized sin that I have. I mean, of course I have sin. I'm imperfect, but I
Sure.
mean, you're not going to catch me doing anything that's completely, that would be super embarrassing and whatever it is. But nonetheless, like, I noticed in, like, one day in particular, just a really busy day, long day, lots to do, focusing everywhere, traveling a little bit. And I get home and all I want to do is lay on my bed, open a social media app and look at funny memes that my brother sent me, right?
Yes.
And so, but it sort of stopped me, like, whoa, like, I am turning to this. There's nothing wrong with a funny meme. There's nothing wrong with social media. I mean, you know, basically speaking, but when I'm turning to it as an escape, as a place to just numb out, I'm like, okay, maybe there's a moment I can set that down and turn to prayer and just sit and recognize these feelings that I'm looking for peace. As you put it,
Yes.
I'm looking for
Yes.
the garden, right? To
Yep.
return to, the Garden of Eden, to something that's going to fill my soul, like a relationship with God. And so
Yes.
it's really helped me just kind of see these knee jerk reactions that I have,
Yes.
just in dealing with life.
Yeah, that's good. That's good because we all do that. Like we can all
Yeah.
relate to that. Just let me scroll. Just let me veg. Let
Yeah.
me let me get on YouTube and look up. I want to watch all those little shorts
Yeah.
and then depending on what your flavor is, I want to watch news. I want to watch history of World War II. I want
Yeah.
well that'll feed you, man.
Yeah.
There's an unending well there that you can just get distracted and lost in this. But the what you are tuning into is I'm just agitated. My
Yeah.
soul is not at rest. I'm looking for something to soothe that, right? And some people turn to memes, and some people turn to alcohol, and some people, on and on you go. Um, it, what Jesus says is, "Come unto me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." He wants to be the solace, the care that we need. And it's not that we don't also enjoy these other things. Get out in the yard, play some hoops, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, Jesus isn't saying, all I want you to do is have a spiritual life.
Yeah.
Okay. He's just saying, yeah, but you're not turning to me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am the rare occasion rather than your daily, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so often, at least in my experience, and I've seen others where it's like, well, I mean, come on, I do the church thing every week, and yeah, our family gathered for a quick prayer in the morning or whatever. But I really I just, again, look at the life of Jesus, of like that full dependency on the Father, right? The
Mhm.
way that he really oriented himself time and time again to the Father, and that's what I want. And so, but it's so hard. Like, well, this is 2025. This is different. Like, no, it's not different. It doesn't have to be different. It can
Yeah.
really be in that full dependency
Yeah.
with God.
Yeah. That's really good to go that direction for a minute. Cause I was chatting
Yeah.
with a guy the other day. And he was telling me about how he came to Christ. And he said, for him, he said it actually didn't begin with the conviction of sin. He was looking for life. He was chasing life hard, and nothing was meeting that emptiness in his soul. The God shaped vacuum in the human soul. He came in through what he called desire,
Hmm.
right? Like the desire of the soul. And we got to keep that front and forward, folks. Like your soul is made to feed on God. God is joy. God is life. God is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
we're not being Debbie Downer here. If you need to say more prayers,
Right.
uh, the the apologetic of desire is one of the most powerful things in the universe. Is that we are drawn to things that bring us joy. We are drawn to things that bring us life. If opening your motorcycle wide open out on the highway, you're looking for joy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we're drawn to that. That's how God made us. And so I'll be honest. I would read like Psalm 63, and David says, "Your love is better than life." And I would respect that. I would say, "Well, I respect you. I believe you, David. I don't personally know that myself, but this is the scripture, and so I respect it, right?" But you go, no, 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 no. He's telling you that because he wants you to experience it too. It's the apologetic of desire, right? It's like bring your longings, bring your search for love, bring your search for life to God. Jesus wants to meet you in your desire. And then here's the awesome thing is that you don't have to discipline yourself to pray. You don't have to discipline yourself to read the scriptures or do all the things that you do that help you find God. You take the dogs for a walk. You go sit on your back porch. All the things you do. You're not going to have to be convinced to do this
Yeah.
because your soul has found the source of life.
Yeah. And you talk about this concept of being a spiritual amphibian. I don't know the
Yes.
exact way you frame it, but
Yes.
of being in the world, but not of the world type of thing, that, yeah, we got the job, we got to do the things, the soccer practice, whatever, but we can easily just orient ourselves back to that spiritual realm where we are from. Like that's where our soul
Yes.
was created. Right. And
That's right.
that's what our soul desires. So
Yes.
it is kind of that dance at times.
Yes. Yes. And what we're trying to help people understand is it's both and.
Yeah.
You were literally made to enjoy friends and laughter and the news and whatever it is you enjoy. Um, and you are also created to feed on, be nourished by the presence of Jesus in your life. Jesus says, "I'm the bread of life." What does that mean? So I want to nourish you. I want to be a source of nourishment. It's both. Okay. And what's fascinating about a true amphibian, you take a frog, if you keep it only in water, it will die. If you put it only on dry land, it will die. It's got to move back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And so I use the ideas of being amphibians that in God's great kingdom, there's part of the kingdom we can see, and it's the morning and it's the sunrise and it's your breakfast and your bike ride. Yep, all that's great. And it's also the world that you can't see, the unseen realm, which is partly the presence of God with you. And He's here.
Yeah.
And learning to enjoy Him and listen to Him, and invite Him into your day and let Him guide you. Let Him into the family decision making. Where are we going to vacation this year? What are we going to do together? What's fun this weekend? Like letting God into your life. You're moving back and forth like a true amphibian between the two realms. And that is the way human beings flourish.
Yeah. And you've given several examples both in your podcast and in this book that it's really helped me sort of stop and be more intentional in this way of like, it's so easy for us to be like, oh yeah, we're taking the kids to North Carolina this summer. We got to get on the plane tickets, got to do this and this, but to be like, wait, stop. Like, how can we invite God into this process? And like, I don't know, should we even go to North Carolina? Right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we haven't even considered. It's like, well, of course, it's summertime. That's what you do, right? Like, no. Like, what if there's something more there, right? And so to just pause and say, why don't we pray over this
Yep.
and really consider why we're doing this and the purpose in it, right? And so you've got so many examples of just being more intentional
Hmm.
of being that amphibian of being like, yeah, we're sort of in the world, we're doing the worldly things right now, but where's the entry point for God to actually guide us in this and make this
Yes.
a sanctifying process?
There you go. Yeah, that's really good. And most of my examples are negative, stuff we didn't invite him into, and then it blew up. And
Yeah.
and then you feel so disappointed because you're like, come on, that was summer vacation. Like that should have been refreshing, and it was exhausting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you didn't even ask. And I
Yeah.
come back with God and I'm all disappointed. And he's like, look, I love you, but you didn't even involve me in any of that.
Hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, sorry. And then on the positive side, as we learn to do that, the number of things he has encouraged us to do that ended up being so full of joy that I would never have done. Like it didn't even cross my mind. He's like, hey, why don't you guys for this Christmas, go see your uncle and and
Hmm.
and go, tubing, go snow tubing. It's like, oh, okay. And it ends up being this big joyful family thing that happens
Yeah.
because we asked, because we invited him in. We acted like amphibians, like we acted like the spiritual beings we are in a physical world.
Yeah. That's powerful. So talk to me about this concept of being a mystic. This term, being a mystic or mysticism, I guess I haven't really used in my faith tradition a lot. And it almost like, even being unfamiliar with it at the beginning, I'm kind of like, that sounds almost like wasn't that in Harry Potter? Like, isn't that a wizard word or something?
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
almost seems a little bit separate. Like, what is a mystic
Yes.
exactly? Right. And you do a
Yes.
great job of unpacking that. So, I mean, what is the deal with being a mystic?
Yeah. Sometimes you have to use words that startle to help people out of the white noise. So again, and you don't know what you don't know. You were born into an era, everybody, where the left brain approach to life was highly esteemed. And then the internet just baked this into you. It's fact finding. The left brain thrives on show me the facts. And so if you're trying to convince somebody to do anything these days, you've got to quote the latest research,
Hmm.
right? Like, hey, did you hear, that if you do more vitamin B12, you actually have more endurance through the day?
Yeah.
Like you've got to quote the research. I mean, this is everybody's lingua franca now. It's left brain, give me the facts, make it pragmatic. But you actually have another hemisphere to your brain. You have a right brain, and the right brain is joy and connection and relationship. And the right brain literally looks at the world differently. It uses intuition and music and beauty. And when you fall in love, for example, it's not your left brain. You're not like, well, I made a pro and con list, Debbie, and the pros outweighed the cons, and so I think I like you. It's not how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of being a mystic, quote unquote, is everybody is. They just didn't know it. Like if you believe in God, you're a mystic because you can't see him,
Hmm.
right? He's not on the table there in front of you. It's different. It's a different way of knowing. It's a different way of relating. It's a different way of being in the world. And a lot of what we have lost in this hour of overdeveloped left brain, give me the facts, hardcore, we've actually lost wonder.
Hmm.
We've lost mystery. By the way, the left brain hates mystery. And it literally will take a hostile posture to anything it can't understand. Okay, but you look
Yeah.
at little children, they're watching the caterpillar build a chrysalis. It's a 16-legged little furry thing. It goes in this chrysalis, it comes out this gorgeous flying creature that knows its way to Mexico. And they're just filled with wonder, right? It's like, oh, the world is a great place. It's filled with magic and beauty and awe, right? But the critical left brain adult goes, I wonder what the science is behind that. I wonder how that actually, and we lose the mystery and the wonder in so much of life. I mean, I was going to ask people, do you enjoy sunsets anymore?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy snowfall? Do you play anymore? Like, do you just goof around? Like,
Hmm.
because pace of life, overdeveloped left brain, I'm urging people back to become ordinary mystics. And I put the word ordinary in because people may have heard of some of the famous saints or whatever. And I'm not talking about, this isn't for special people. This is for ordinary folks. You're meant to have a childlike joy and wonder in this world, and to experience God. I mean, my cards are on the table. Experience Jesus, period. Really, period, is on the
Yeah.
cover of the book. uh,
Right.
because this beautiful life with Jesus Christ is meant to be deeply experiential, not just like occasionally. Oh yeah, no, I remember that time and it was really comforting. Or oh yeah, I remember that time. I remember once I really felt like he did guide us. That's supposed to be your daily.
Yeah. And that's, I catch myself in this, and I see it in our faith community as well. Of especially in a time where there's so many YouTube channels of scriptural scholars and ancient biblical researchers, right?
Yep,
Like, and I get stuck in this thing of like, oh, worshiping God is when you like sit down and you like dig into the Hebrew, the Greek translation, and you're tying this together. It's a very intellectual left brain experience.
yep.
When I have to remind myself, actually, today I just need to sit and listen to a worship song and just be with God. Like I don't need to learn anything or have any deep, academic, understanding of some scriptural knowledge. I just need to be more of a relational being in the presence of God rather than an
Mm,
intellectual being, right?
mm. Oh, that's so good, Kurt. That's so good. Okay, let's come in from that door. So we are highly relational beings.
Yeah.
Why else would they have chosen solitary confinement as a form of torture?
Yeah.
I mean, it's brutal on the human soul, like to be deprived of contact, okay? Because we are made in the image of a highly relational God. I mean, he calls himself Father,
Yeah.
right? A very relational term, right? And to be, and then you look at what brings people joy. It's the birth of a child, it's hanging out with friends, it's that awesome Christmas morning where everybody was just laughing. It's relational connection, right? Some of our deepest joys are relational connection. Okay, well, you got to bring that into your life with God.
Yeah.
So what you were saying is the left brain has a wonderful place in our life, but it was actually never meant to be the master. It was meant to serve the right brain and the heart, which is about relationship and joy and love, right? Your kids don't want to know how much you know. Your kids want to hang out with you.
Yeah, it really is a helpful framing of that, of how to approach God differently, rather
Yes,
than this
yes,
intellectual heaviness of it.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Um, so this concept of being a mystic, as unpack it, I'm like, okay, good. I'm more and more comfortable with this term, and what it is. Is it? Do you find just in the general traditional Christian circles, like do a lot of Christians kind of have an issue with sort of this concept of being a
Oh,
mystic,
totally.
and
Oh, yeah.
what does that look like?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because it sounds woo woo,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, woo woo.
And because wait, weren't those guys heretics? Or now, but the problem is now. So folks, we also need to know something about our moment. So the internet life, overdeveloped left brain, give me the pragmatic, is not a satisfying life. So because you're a whole human being, you're not half a human being.
Yeah,
Here's what's going on, Kurt. There is the spiritual world is bursting out all over the place. The fastest growing, or one of the fastest growing religions in America, is Wicca, right?
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, man. People are
Oof.
looking for something spiritual. They're hungry for it because they've been deprived of it so many years. And so people are going down and doing, ayahuasca ceremonies
Mhm.
and trying to tap into the divine or whatever. That's mysticism also. It's just the dark side,
Gotcha.
right? And so, yeah, people are concerned about that. And I want to say, well done. You should be. I'm not, and so that's why I root it in the tradition of Christian and even Hebrew, like David's life. When David says things like, "You satisfy me more than the richest feast." Well, he's describing a personal encounter with the living God that was so wonderful. It's like better than the best banquet he could have gone to. Okay, so that's experiential.
Yeah.
That's right brain. Okay, that's mystical in that sense, right? But he's deeply grounded in the scriptures. He's not winging off. He's like, no, no, the one living God, you, Lord. Uh, and so we don't want to take this off the rails and say all mysticism is good. No, in the same way that we wouldn't say all sexual expression is good,
Yeah.
right? The world does really terrible things with sexuality, but we don't throw sexuality out the window.
Mm-hmm.
We redeem it, we make it holy, we bring it back into the marriage covenant, right? Well, we
Yeah.
do the same thing with the experiential. So if you don't like the word mystic, just use the word experiential.
Yeah.
That we are meant to have a very experiential life with God, not just know things about him, but know him. Okay. So in the Old Testament, the word is yada. The Hebrew word is yada for knowing. And in the New Testament, the word is gnosko. That's the Greek word. They are both deeply experiential, deeply experiential kinds of knowing. It's not the internet, give me the facts, left brain. It's a deeply experiential type of knowing. In fact, gnosko started getting used even for human intimate physical relations, and that shows you it's like, oh, whoa, like that's very experiential, that's very intimate. Yes, that sort of experiential intimacy is what we're designed for with God. And I've got to use a word like ordinary mystic to yank people out of the internet life and back
Yeah.
into, frankly, what was normal for ages.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think is really effective in doing that. And I appreciate just the, you talk about some Christians seeing it very woo woo. I think, and forgive me for drawing this parallel, but is, for our faith tradition as Latter-day Saints, we get a bad rap from a lot of Christians because of these temples we build across the globe. And, and the list of tropes of what the temple is and what we do in there, in reality, all we're saying is we are a mystic people, and we build buildings that represent Jesus, and we enter into his realm and have an experience with him. And I encourage you. We actually, our church announced one going in Colorado Springs, and when they have the open house, I encourage you to walk through that building and see the
Oh,
mysticism
yes,
that
thank you.
that we are trying to reach for, that we are trying to reach a different realm. And so
Exactly.
we 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 need to actually, like, physically construct like God's living room so we can go actually sit in it. And that's the beauty of it, is that there's the vast majority of that experience doesn't deal with a lot of talking. It's a lot of
Mm,
sitting, it's a lot of pondering, it's a lot of just connecting with the
yep.
divine. So as I was reading your book, I'm like, oh, it was so validating to my faith experience of, well, I
Mm,
need to get there, get to that realm as often as possible.
yeah,
So
there
it
you go.
can
There
seem
you
woo woo, but
go.
in the right
Yeah,
framing and understanding, it's like, oh, actually,
right.
you're just an amphibian, godly person.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. And then helping people live left brain, right brain, helping people live whole lives. The scriptures say that the whole world is filled with the glory of God.
Hmm.
So, like when you're at the beach and you're looking at the ocean and you are in awe, you just love it. There's just something in your soul. I just love being here. Right. That's
Hmm.
right. Because God is present in his creation, not because creation is God, but because God loves creation too. And he loves to meet you there in things. So you're watching the snow out the window and you're just in awe at the beauty of the world. That is a kind of, quote, mystical communion, right? You're just allowing the transcendent into your life again, and not being so pragmatic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And I appreciate how you reframe that, of like, of it being experiential, where oftentimes we think, oh, I need to go have scripture study. Like, I'm supposed to do that. I'm supposed to read the scriptures, but instead of saying, I'm actually going to go have a godly experience.
Yep.
And what does that look like today? And asking God for that. Maybe that's how, oh, I'm going to take my dog for a walk, and take a moment by the pond down the street, and just
Yep.
breathe into his essence, or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
And just be present with him. Or,
That's right.
yeah, maybe I'm going to spend some time with some Psalms, or, whatever it is.
Yeah. Or I like your thing of, I'm just going to put on a worship song
Yeah.
and I'm just going to sit with it. and just commune. Just let his love be here and tell him, I just sit there and I go, Jesus, I love you.
Yeah.
I just love you. I love you. I love you, Lord Jesus. I love you. And then because it's like the sea anemone, all the tension, all the pressure, all the stress. The sea anemone closes up. That's your soul. But as you sit with Jesus and just say, I love you, turn a worship song on.
Yeah.
And I'll give a little tip here too. Put it on a loop. Repeat the same song several times
Hmm.
because your soul actually quiets down. And then you become more aware of his presence. And then you're going to hear him saying, I love you too.
Yeah. And this is a perfect place, if you don't mind. I want to plug your Pause app, which I've used, if not daily, a lot. Where it's just you can pick the amount of time you need to sit. It could be like, okay, I'm about to just transition a point in my life. I'm done with my work day. I'm going back to
Mm,
my family. Let's
mm,
take 5 minutes, and
mm,
it's a simple. You hit the option, and your voice is on there, or you can turn your voice off if you just want the music. But I've appreciated just having I'm committing a specific time frame. Like, okay, we're doing 10 minutes. Like I need a good 10 minutes, and maybe I'll do that twice over, right?
mm,
Of just sitting and contemplating and
mm.
connecting with God. It really is a great free resource.
Yeah. So it's called the 1 minute pause or just pause. It's free in the App Store, iPhone and Android. And you can start with a 60-second pause. You can just start with 1 minute. And it's just learning to get quiet and let go of things. That's really lovely. Just kind of
Yeah.
letting go of the all that you're carrying. And then there's a 3 minute. And as Kurt was saying, there's a 5 and a 10. And then there's modules in there you can do. There's one that's 30 days to resilience. It's a lovely morning and evening practice. And we're about to release in April a new module
Oh, cool.
around deeper experience of God, the more right brain relational connectedness.
Yeah, that's powerful. I love it. As we wrap up here, maybe talk to me just, speaking as a therapist as well, because this is oftentimes I feel like we compartmentalize these worlds a little bit. Like, yeah, you're having a hard time. Yeah, maybe go talk with your bishop, your pastor, or whatever, and read some scriptures together. But, oh well, you're talking about anxiety, depression. Oh well, let's bring in the professionals and do the therapy thing. When
Mm,
in reality, we want to merge these worlds, because there's it's the right left brain thing happening there
yeah,
too, right? Where there
that's
is some good science and research and
yep.
understanding what you need to approach. So, speaking as a therapist, how could you help church leaders better understand, how do we bring those two worlds together, the spiritual but also the therapy?
Yes. Well, so the famous therapist Irving Yalom, Jewish guy, his kind of main point is after working like 60 years in the field, he says it's the relationship that heals.
Hmm.
It's the relationship. Now we have the neuroscience, and you can look at like Dan Siegel's YouTube videos on this, on the neuroscience of it. But to sit across from another human being and look them in the eye and have them listen to you with compassion heals the human brain.
Hmm.
It actually heals the brain. And so when we're offering compassionate relational connection, we're not rushing to fix people. That's really important. People don't like feeling like your project. You're a disaster. I'm here to fix you.
Yeah.
You are a son or a daughter of a living God. I'm here to love you and to sit with you. Anybody can offer that. Everybody can offer that. And there is a time and a place for professionals, no question. But the beautiful thing is, and again, this is bringing in the experiential life with God. This divine and branch. Let's come back where we started. It's divine and branch. The soul is healed through union with Jesus Christ. And that union brings down your anxiety. That union brings down your anger. That union addresses childhood wounds. That you get union with Christ into your sexuality. I guarantee you're going to get over your addictions. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful blending of these two worlds.
Yeah. It's fantastic. And is there any, because sometimes as we're referring people out to get professional therapy, I mean, is there anything to be aware of to make sure you kind of you have some of this? It's can help in this, in that spiritual realm, or I don't know.
I would ask your therapist what their spirituality is.
Hmm.
Now, there are many, 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 many excellent secular therapists, and I'm not dismissing them. They can do great work. They are doing great work.
Yeah.
But you want someone who understands your spiritual life,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that's an important. I mean, I'd say go get a Christian therapist somewhere, please. It
Yeah.
makes a difference. Somebody that's going to understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Really helpful. John, this has been great. I just always appreciate our conversations and your writings. And
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
even going back, let's say I read this past year, Beautiful Outlaw, right?
Oh yeah,
That was a good one. So I'm slowly kind of going back, making sure I didn't miss any of your books there, but there's a lot there. And I encourage people to jump in. Any place that you would send people if they're intrigued by this conversation, want to read the book, want to get into the resources that you offer?
yep. Well, Experience Jesus really is the new book that's out. You can get it on Amazon. If you want to listen to our podcasts, Wild at Heart podcasts, you can get it where you get your podcasts. There's some beautiful free resources on our website. There's some beautiful films that you can watch for free on our
Oh, yeah.
website, and for men, for women, for the healing of the masculine and feminine soul. That's wildatheart.org. Yeah. And thanks for your generosity, Kurt. You've been so generous with your time over the years and so affirming. And I'm really humbled by that. Thank you
Well,
so
thank you.
much.
Well, I appreciate, sometimes our people get dismissed in Christian communities. So I appreciate you being willing to have conversations and sharing your perspectives and things. So it
Yeah.
means a lot too.
Thank you.
Um, can we just end, maybe, would you just pray for us and our people,
Yeah.
and we'll end there?
Yeah. Because what I want to pray is the prayer for the listener. And the prayer is, Jesus, I think I do need a deeper experience of you. I think I need a deeper life with you. And so I'm asking you to come to me and to open my heart and my right brain. Help me be more wholehearted in left brain, right brain, heart and soul, mind and strength. I want to experience more of your love and your presence with me. And so we ask this, Lord Jesus, in your name. Amen.
Amen.